Hey, this is Jessie from Metal Wani. I'm here with Zetro of Exodus. What's shaking?
Writing a new record, hanging out, listening to, what's going on in the metal world, doing all those things that we do in the world of heavy metal, like yourself.
Oh, yes. Well, you guys have toured with everybody from Venom to Motorhead. You're going to be touring or playing a show with Iron Maiden. Do you have a favorite band that you like to tour with?
I don't, it's funny as I play with, when I get to play with my heroes, when I get to do Maiden or Saxon or UFO or somebody like that I'm like, if I'm at a festival with Ted Nugent, I'm like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Alice Cooper. So, but then I have friends, like, I love to play with guys in Lamb of God and Slipknot as well, obviously Gary and Carrie and Tom and Paul from Slayer, so they're all that whole family. So it's kind of like metal. It's very, very family, very close-knit, oriented.
Oh, we're one giant family.
I agree. It's not very, there's no medium, there's no television show, there's nothing that sells it. It's all very fan-based. You either love fucking metal or you don't. It's one of the two, so...
Well, see, I love the fact that you're back with Exodus. I really do, but have you noticed a difference in the fan demographic since the Rob Dukes era?
I think not. I wouldn't say there was any demographic of it. I would think it carried, like, it was like you went from Tempo and I went right into Blood In, Blood Out, and all the stuff that was done in between was completely accepted,
Yeah.
And actually, I love it. I mean, I love to play Ballad of Leonard and Charles. I love Iconoclasm. I love Children of a Worthless
I was going to bring that up because you still go on stage and you still sing those songs, right? And I love that you own that, because it's still part of Exodus. It's still part of that history.
Exactly. There are I would probably say 9% singers that will either come in or have come in and then come back or whatever, like I've done, refuse to sing the other singer's material. Like, I thought Priest had some really heavy stuff through Ripper's era, but they won't play that.
No, and it's unfortunate.
And Maiden was really heavy when Blaze was the singer for 2 records, but they won't play those either. And so, I don't think Anthrax does any of the John Bush era Anthrax, which is amazing to me too. So, I was never going to say, well, you know what? There's so much material with me. Let's just forget that era, because then that would be like, well, then let's forget Paul Bailoff too, because you joined the band when there wasn't even. When I joined Exodus, there wasn't even Pleasures of the Flesh. All there was Bonded by Blood.
Yeah, so, you kind of have to, right?
The first things I sang with Exodus had nothing of my stature on it. It had no staple of me whatsoever. I went on tour and I sang that record, and then by the next record I had something under my own belt to sing, but I was never going to put those songs. I'm telling you, some of my favorite songs to play are off of Exhibit A or Exhibit B.
So the last Exodus album, Blood In, Blood Out, that was the second time you came back. The first time we heard from you since Tempo of the Damned. What was it like coming back?
I think this time or Tempo of the Damned?
This time around.
This time was the best time, because this time I'd already done a couple of projects, Hatriot, and I'd done Dublin Death Patrol, and I'd done Tenet. My kids were older. There was no distraction back at home. I don't think there was no substance abuse on my part anymore, and on Exodus's part either. So I think coming back into this record, there wasn't that, like when we were on tour in the 80s, and I'll just say, we were just kids in a candy store, and that was with everything. So the mentality has changed quite a bit. Some of us are in our 50s, and we don't kind of go there anymore. Any of that stuff.
I think the idea of
booze, drugs, any of it. So it's kind of, you'd rather have a stack of pancakes and a chocolate milk than a pile of blow and a blonde girl. I'm serious. The mentality has been done a 180.
So Blood In, Blood Out was amazing. I think it really scratched an itch that Exodus fans, we needed it, right? It raised the bar for us. It was raw. It was powerful. Where do you go from that? I mean, do you feel that the pressure's on?
You got to remember, who do we have at the helm writing the songs? You gotta stop and think. There's a reason why he plays in Exodus and Slayer.
You got Gary right there, yeah.
There's a reason why that happens, and Gary Holt is not going to put any subpar shit out there. He never has. So why would we start now? So actually, I've already heard, rough stuff that's come up, because we've probably scheduled to be in the studio late November, late probably October, November for a March thing. I think that's what it looks like on the eraser board, but then that could always change again to things going on. But the ship is pretty steady we'll be ready to record by October and November. So
and then you're thinking about a March release? March 2018?
March first week, depending on if we get all the mixing and jungly junk and layout and all that crap and PR that it takes. So it's usually what they say is it takes 4 months from the last day of recording. So if we end recording in November, then you figure December, January, February, March, somewhere March, something like that. But I mean, we're very much aware that Blood In, Blood Out has been played. We played 288 shows on Blood In, Blood Out. So we know it's time to put out a new record, which is our focus right now. That's basically what has been the band's focus over the past few months. One of us got married last month, so he had a little bit of a focus. Tom, our drummer, got married.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, and then Gary had been home working off Slayer since mid-October. I think he's in South America with Slayer right now.
Yeah.
And then he will, he's writing stuff, so I'll get an email saying, the first is the heading, "Don't play this for anyone, Zetro," and then it's the song.
Yeah.
So, because I'm like the first guy going, "Oh, dude, check this out, new Exodus, yeah, listen, yeah." So he's the first one going, "Do not play this for everybody." And then
you can always play it for me anytime.
Remember, okay, all right, as long as you don't tell on me.
No, it won't. I swear, Mom's word.
Okay.
So is it challenging working around Gary's schedule with Slayer when it comes to working on new material and booking tours?
This is the first time with new material. Tours, we have his stunt double.
Oh, yes,
Craig,
yes.
Craig and Lena's played with us, and it's like hand-picked by Gary, by the way, and he plays his part. I mean, maybe better than Gary plays his own part. Craig is pretty spot on. You close your eyes, he plays the leads on the records note for note, so it sounds like Exodus. And his rhythm hand is just there. Him and Lee, they actually play in Heathen together, but I don't think they've done Heathen since 2010 because Lee's been so busy with Exodus. But he was a very good compliment if Gary can't be there. But I think Gary's going to be on the Iron Maiden show, and they're talking about doing a tour in September, October. That's going to be Gary will be on that with us as well. So it's only that, it seemed like our album cycles ran simultaneously. We put a record out in October of 2014, and then they put out a record in September of 2015, only 9 months later. So
funny how it works sometimes like that, eh? So
I love the fact that he is carrying that band on, with Jeff's blessing, of course, because Jeff handpicked him as well. So I just, I'm a huge Slayer fan. I always have been, and I'm just very proud of him, and I'm glad that he could carry the torch so that they can continue.
Hell yeah. So am I. So you're thinking maybe March for an upcoming album. What about a name? Do you have a name?
I have nothing, and that was something, again, I got because I was so, jonesing to write lyrics, and he sent me the track. I'm like, okay, what's the name of this one? And I'll get started on it. He's like, wait, not even near close to be done yet. I'll let you know when it's time for that. I go, what do you want to call it? He goes, I don't know. I said, what are we calling the record? He goes, I don't know yet. So I'm like, I guess I got to tell you, Jessie, I don't know.
Time will tell, eh? Time will tell. Well, see, that's the thing, though. So for Blood In, Blood Out, because you are a lyrical writer, you didn't really, for Blood In, Blood Out, you kind of jumped in near the end. So for the upcoming album, will you and Gary be collaborating when it comes to writing the lyrics?
No, we've already spoke about that, actually. I have some lyrical ideas that I want to use with Exodus, and we talked about that. And I actually did pen one. I did Body Harvest on the last one. And it was the only one that was left to write. So I came to the studio actually one day, and actually Lee and Jack and myself just sat there and I said, "We can write this. Let's do this." And within 2 hours, I was already recording it. So
amazing.
I did have a little bit, and I worked. I mean, in the past, I always wrote. It was always half and half, kind of. Even after Pleasures, I wrote a lot on. I think 4 or 5 songs on Pleasures. And then Fabulous, and then Impact and Force of Habit, it was more almost 60-40 me, so I'm sure that I'll be, writing them. Tempo, I think I had 3, and then the last one I had 1, but because I wasn't a part of the writing cycle with them. I guess Rob was the singer in mind during the time that they recorded Blood In, Blood Out. It just didn't end up working out that way.
Where do you usually get your inspiration from when it comes to writing?
Just pick up a newspaper, turn on TV. Oh my God!
Pretty much,
it's everywhere because thrash metal is so socially, religiously, politically conscious on every level. We seem to it gives us enough topics, and the metaphors just bleed for us. And honestly, there's just so much about hypocrisy and politics and religion that are just easy targets, and serial killers and cult followers and all those things that heavy metal writes about, So I really don't have anything that I never get to a point where I go, damn, I don't know what I want to write about, because I'll hear a song and when I hear the music, it's like, ooh, this one will be perfect for this, and so that's kind of how I like to do it.
Yeah, no, fair enough, and it's fitting, right? So for Blood In, Blood Out, Kurt Hammett and Chuck Billy were featured on the album. Are there going to be any guests planned for the upcoming album?
We'll see what happens when that rolls around. I doubt we'll do the Kurt thing again. He's going to be they're already busy, touring for the album. So, I don't know if we'll have to see when time comes, if anybody steps in or steps, we'll have to see what happens. That's always a good surprise.
Yeah.
It always works well, too, so we'll see what kind of camaraderie runs around on this time.
It was great hearing him back on it, just in that album. It was amazing. I was like, yes, bring me the power. This is what I need, right? Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, sure. No, I think as we're getting older, we're more heavier as in cantankerous. So shit that used to piss us off when we were kids, more angst, it's more out of being, it's still pissing us off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's more channeled that way. I think Take Dystopia is just an awesome example of older guys in an older band that still bring it, socially and politically aware of what's going on. That's not like going through the motions. I mean, I could say at this point in time, we could go, we'll just put out a record, and, as long as 4 or 5 tracks are killer on it, we could tour, and the fans will love it. We'll play Toxic Waltz and Bonded by Blood and la, 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 la. I don't think we approach it like that. In fact, I know we don't. We approach it like, how are we going to crush your face this time kind of mentality. So I think that's where, I think as long as that stays, the eye of that tiger will always be, you'll always have quality, brutal, violent, definitely heavy, vicious topics, and brutal songs coming from Exodus.
Unleashing the brutality. I love it. Well, I just have one last question for you. Your voice still sounds amazing. It still sounds fresh and insanely powerful on all the Exodus albums. How do you maintain a voice like that?
I do practice a lot on my own. I'll sing through the house, but it's kind of a technique that I try not to forget how to do. And I do my singing voice is done almost effortlessly. I can scream, and I just do that kind of, and I've been very fortunate enough to be able to hold my voice up till now. So I think that I've been, I don't know. I like I said a long time ago, see what happens when you sell your soul to the devil? Good things do work out for you. So
They really do, man. They really do. Well, that's all I have. Is there anything you want to mention, maybe say to the fans?
no, I'll tell the fans up there, man, we're working on something right now I can't talk about, but I think September, October, we're going to go and do something else with another killer legendary metal band, and they're putting it together right now. And I heard yesterday that somebody was asking, did you get your visas for Canada? And I said, Canada? And they said, yeah, I think we're going to Canada to do that run with that other killer band that I can't say right now. So Ontario, we're coming. We're definitely coming.
Excellent. This is exactly what I want to hear. Can I have a hint maybe on the band? A hint?
Let's just say we did a tour with them last year in Europe.
All right. Excellent. I'll do my fishing. I'm ecstatic for this. Can't wait to see you. Thanks so much for chatting with me. It's been honestly a pleasure.
Great. Tell all your fans to stay heavy. Stay metal, metalheads.